Oh, guys, good, you hear? I am so excited. Guess what? I hope this isn't about your podcast again. Why, did you finally listen to it?
Da-da-da-da, 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 the Groomer Next Door production.
The 1970s and 80s had Elbow, Gravy Train, Purina, Meow Mix, and Bell Bottoms. You've changed your clothes, now change how you feed your pet. Like Bell Bottoms, kick the kibble and join us in the 21st century with the healthiest diet for dogs and cats. Feed naturally, feed raw, feed fishing foods.
The Groomer Next Door Podcast.
Dun, 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 dun.
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm everybody's friend.
Hello, Pups and Kittens, and welcome to another fun-filled and relaxing episode of the Groomer Next Door Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Green, and joining us this week, you've heard us talk about it in previous episodes with Dr. Lori Koger, and now you get to meet the wonderful lady, Janice Costa. She runs the great camp, Canine Camp, that you've heard us talk about multiple times. She will be talking all about the camp and putting all of us into a relaxing trance because we're all going to wish we were there. But you know what's great? We all get to visit that camp right now when she joins us. But before then, let's get into the fact of the week. The earliest European images of dogs are found in caves. They are paintings that date back 12,000 years in Spain. Well, by that sound, Janice is about to enter the podcast studio. So with that said, welcome Janice Costa of Canine Camp.
Oh, hello. Hold on a sec. Dad, we have a guest on the podcast.
All right, this week on the podcast, we are so fortunate. You've heard us talk about this wonderful lady when Dr. Koger has been on in the past, and we are so fortunate to be able to sit down and talk with her. We are joined this week by Janice Costa. She has Canine Camp, and I am so happy we finally get to do this. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
It is an absolute pleasure. I've heard so much about you, and you know what? I'm looking so forward to being able to sit down and hear all about your great stories. So let's go into your origin story. Dr. Koger says that you have one of the best. Take us through how you became in love and so in knowledgeable with dogs and everything that you do.
Well, I don't remember any time in my life where there wasn't a dog and a cat. I was 11 months old when we got our first dog. She was an English Shepherd, and I was so excited that by the time I was 5, I got the grown-up task of feeding the dog. Now, the dog food bag was as big as I was, but I would haul it over proudly and feed my dog. And, I was crazy about her. We'd play tug war with my dad's undershirts. And, I think it's just a wonderful thing to grow up with a dog. So I always had dogs. I grew up with dogs. When I closed in my first house, the first thing, of course, I did was go out and adopt a rescue dog. And I didn't really know what I was looking for. I wanted a dog who needed a home. I kind of had a lab in mind because I'd had a lab previously, but somehow I ended up with what my dad called the Franken dog. She looked like she was kind of random dog parts. She was a Belgian Malinois mix. She was 100 pounds. And shortly after I got her home, I realized she was an incredible guard dog. I could not get anybody in my house. So, they said, Belgian Malinois Shepherd Collie. We used to say, the motto was more Lassie, less Cujo. But I was overwhelmed. I had this dog that was as big as I was who wanted to kill anyone who came in the house, and I had looked her in the eye and said, don't worry, you're safe here. So obviously she couldn't go back. But I had no experience training a serious high-drive working dog. So I called different trainers, and a lot of them actually told me to put her to sleep sight unseen, which was sad. I knew I was over my head, but she hadn't bitten anybody. She just barked a lot, and she was a strong, high-drive dog, and I finally got this guy on the phone. His name was Frank Bonomo, and I told him about the dog, and he said, wow, it almost sounds like you have a Malinois. And at the time, I had no idea what a Belgian Malinois was. They're largely police and drug dogs. They're not dogs you typically see as pets. I said, yeah, my vet said something about having a Malamar. And he sort of giggled a little bit. He said, it's not a Malamar, that's a cookie. this is a high-drive working dog. Are you ready for this kind of dog? And I said, no, I'm not. But I have her, so what are we going to do? Well, thankfully, he had 3 of them. He really knew the breed. He came to the house. I said, you won't get in. But he did. So right away, I figured that was a good sign. And we talked a lot. You know, we did a free evaluation. He told me what he wanted to do and, you know, that she needed a job, she needed boundaries, you know, she needed a lot of exercise. And then he told me what it cost. And I just closed on a house. I literally didn't have a penny to my name. He said, you know, I kind of shuddered a little bit at the price. And he said, well, can you pay now half and 6 months the other half, 6 weeks the other half? And I said, I don't even know if I could pay it in 6 months. You know, they'd hijacked my furniture. I had to, you know, pay like triple what they charged just to get my furniture back. And he kind of looked and he said, well, the important thing is the dogs. Do we want to get the dog trained? I said, yes. But he said, well, you just pay me whenever you get around to it. You know, if it takes you a year, that's fine. Let's just take care of the dog. That's the important thing. I was very fortunate. He was starting out in his career, and he was excited to be working with a high-drive dog. And he loved training, and I loved learning about her. So I spent a lot of time. He offered free group classes for the life of the dog. So I was, rain, snow, sleet, or hail, I was there. We started doing a lot of sports to channel her energy. We started with agility, which she loved. She loved running. She loved jumping. We did lure coursing, which she thought was fabulous. So you get to chase something around. What's better than that? And as we worked on obedience, you know, the bond between us strengthened. She was a very typical shepherd, very loyal, very loving, and actually became a very social dog as we worked on socializing her. She loved dogs, so anyone that I met, I tried to make sure we meet other people with dogs because she thought people with dogs were safe. And then training was going well, everything was going well, and then I got sick. I developed vertigo, problem with my inner ear, and all of a sudden I would have days where I would be on the floor where I literally could not get up. And the first time it happened, I was panicked. I was all alone. And I looked at her and said, Jessie, get me the phone. And she looked at me, and she came back with a bone. And we never trained for this or anything, but I was just scared, and I was on the floor, and I couldn't move. And I said, no, honey, get me the telephone. And she walked off, and she came back with a telephone. Smart dog. Mm-hmm. So we began building on that, and she learned to get me medicine and water and different things on command, which was great because it was a job for her. It was helpful to me while I work with doctors to kind of get this under control. And probably saved my life because she needed walks and exercise, and she was my reason for getting up and getting out and walking and doing things during a time that was really difficult and scary for me. So, you know, things were going well. We were doing activities together. We were doing training classes. Then I had a car accident, and the person who hit me had some mental health issues. He'd had a number of accidents. I guess he was afraid of losing his license, so he decided he wanted to come and speak to me about it at 5 a.m.
Oh.
So he came and was looking in the windows, and my dog went through the window, through panes of glass, and chased him away. Well, you can imagine nobody ever came back after that. She was always a fiercely protective dog, but she became a very social dog. She ended up growing to be a therapy dog and visiting nursing homes and working with people. We did home visits with children. She became a very, very social dog who loved people. And I loved being with her, and through her I made a number of dog friends. And I did a lot of dog sports. And at some point I said, wouldn't it be great if we could take the dogs on vacation? I traveled a whole lot on business, and when I got time off, I wanted to spend it with my dog. That's why I got her. So we started calling places, but hotels didn't really want you to bring a 100-pound dog, and if they were dog-friendly, there was nothing to do with your dog while you were there. So we talked about getting group buses together and, you know, trying to rent a house someplace, and we couldn't really find anything, and that's when I said, you know, this could be a business. We could have, create a vacation that would be like the perfect dream vacation for a dog. And I mentioned to my mom, who said I was crazy. This was 2009, and of course we were in the height of the recession. People were having staycations. Nobody was planning to take their dog on vacation. But I still thought it was a good idea because I said, I can't be the only crazy person who loves doing things with their dogs. So I decided to jump into it, and I started calling hotels to see if I could find somebody who would be willing to give us a chance. Now, most hotels were not dog-friendly at this time. I wanted something with property and fields so we could do agility and nose work and all kinds of fun stuff. And many times I would call and tell them what I wanted to do, and they would actually hang up. Quick. So it wasn't for everybody, but I finally found Oh, wonderful place, the Roaring Brook Ranch in Lake George, and the owner said, well, we're not dog-friendly, but, if you had a few dogs in your party, we might be able to work something out. What did you have in mind? And I said, how about, 50 dogs? So there was a long pause, but he didn't hang up, so I figured that was a good sign. And he invited me to come down and meet with him, which I did. And he was kind of intrigued by the idea. I think he was a little bit nervous, but he was intrigued. And we sort of talked him into it. I, explained that dog people really are responsible. These are people who clean up after their dogs and love their dogs, and, they're not people who are going to destroy the facility. And it went so well the first year that he became dog-friendly after that. He has a young daughter who has been involved with our business since the beginning, and she had to be, 5 or 6 that first year. And I remember she was the barometer for how things were going, because she came up to me and said, my daddy was really nervous, but he says it's going well so far. And I'm so glad, because I want the dogs to come back. So it went well enough that they invited us back, and, we didn't have a big crowd. It was not a great time financially, but there were people out there who were crazy like me, and except for one small incident with a buffet and bacon that we won't discuss, the dogs were well behaved. We never had buffets after that.
Yeah.
But it became something that people really enjoyed as an opportunity to do something fun with their dog, to meet people who were like them, who love dogs. There was no pressure to have to bring someone. You could come by yourself because you were with your dog. So you didn't have to have a husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, best friend to go. You could just go with your dog and make friends there. And, we grew slowly, but it was a tough couple of years. The market wasn't great. And then we were very fortunate that the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric decided to come down and film us in 2010. And that was very exciting. That kind of put us on the map. They loved that we had a pool that the dogs could swim in. That was, a whole lot of fun. And, of course, it makes for great TV. But it's also a great time. The labs and the golden retrievers are always in the pool. Mm-hmm. So after that, things began to take off. We grew every year. We started to do 2 camps a year in 2012, I think. And every year they've gotten bigger, and now we have 100 people per camp and anywhere from 110 to, 190-plus dogs at each camp. We get dogs as little as 4 pounds, as big as 160 pounds. And remarkably, everybody gets along. We have maybe 6 to 8 activities every hour of the day, and that, I think, is kind of fun because we can divide them up so dogs can do what interests them. And, there are things for the older dogs that are more low impact and things for the younger dogs that need to burn off energy and things for people who just want to relax and maybe do a seminar and learn and, not have to be constantly hiking, running, biking. But you also have some of the busy activities, too.
Right. What kind of activities do you guys normally have? Because I saw the list. I mean, it is not a small list. You guys have a lot going on.
Oh, yeah. We start off the day with a morning hike, or you can do dog yoga. We have agility classes. We have agility handling classes. We have nose work, canine freestyle dance, barn hunt. We do barks and crafts, a little craft thing in the middle of the day. We like to have that kind of a low-stress period. We have all different seminars. We have 2 veterinarians, Dr. Koger, who is our holistic veterinarian, and we also have Dr. Fiore, who is our traditional veterinarian. So we have both viewpoints represented, and we have seminars on canine nutrition and vaccination protocol and how to prevent cancer, things to keep your dog healthier and happier. We have training classes and tricks classes. I am very active in the therapy dog program, and I have been for a number of years. So that is near and dear to my heart. So we do have therapy dog training, and we do the testing there. We've put probably more than 200 therapy dogs into the program since we started the camp, which I'm very, very excited about because therapy dogs just do amazing work. Mm-hmm. You see them in hospitals and libraries and nursing homes, and now they're on college campuses during the finals week when the kids are stressed out. They do home visits for kids who are sick that can't have dogs of their own. So it's kind of fun to be part of that program and to help see these dogs, get them started in that. Because we have people who come from all over. I thought this would be a local thing, but we have people who come from California and Florida and Canada and Midwest and Texas and any place else you can think of. Crazy.
That is really cool that people were able to hear about this and say, hey, I don't care if I'm going to travel across the country. I'm going to go to this for so many reasons. I mean, just the therapy dog alone, to be able to get your dog into that, because there's so many dogs out there, especially rescue, dogs that I've noticed. You can pick up a rescue dog who just was abused, neglected, and that dog is a working dog. It needs a purpose, and it wants to make you proud. And I couldn't tell you how many times a lab will be picked up at the shelter or a German Shepherd, and they become such an asset, not only to their pet parent, but the community. And then you think to yourself, oh man, this dog actually is more of a benefit and an asset to society than some people. Makes me so sad, because I'm like, why can't we just learn from dogs and cats? Come on. It's such a thought process that goes in my mind. I mean, do you ever see dogs, griping about the littlest things? No. Nothing really bothers them.
They're happy to be alive. They're happy to be, and that's the joy of camp. They're happy to just have time with their people.
Mm-hmm.
Where you're not on the phone, on the computer, multitasking, where you're just being together. And I feel that is really healing for you. It is pure joy for your dog. They say people have dogs live longer, they're healthier, they recover faster from illnesses.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes sense because dogs are pure joy.
Mm-hmm. They are. And, one thing that I think everybody is at fault with is that we get so busy in our lives that we don't have that time to go out and have just one-on-one time with our dogs. So that's why we always hear about so much obesity in dogs. I mean, yes, of course, diet has everything to do with it, but if we're not going out there running with them, playing catch, and doing different things, those poor little things are just sitting there on the couch waiting for you to come home every day. And the camp actually would be such a benefit because you could go and run around and do all these activities that just sound like so much fun. Especially right around this time of the year where it's cold. You're just thinking a pool outside, get some sun. Oh my gosh, I'm dreaming about this.
We have a good time, and we have an extraordinary community of people, and that's when you start a business, you don't really, maybe some people do. This was a sideline for me, and I didn't think it through that carefully. Probably if I did, I never would have actually had the nerve to pull the trigger on it. But you have kind of a vision, people will come and we'll do this and we'll that. But we had no thought to how that would grow.
Right.
We do different charity events at camp. We do a casino night, and all the money goes to a Canadian animal rescue. We do a silent auction for charity. I usually donate a camp that people bid on for research being done on canine cancer. We raise about $10,000 a year for animal charities.
Nice.
Which is amazing because everybody is there, even though they're having a great time with their dog, they recognize how many dogs are not that fortunate, and they think about giving back. And you build this community of people who care about each other, who care about dogs, who want to make the world a little bit better while they're having fun on vacation. And that's extraordinary.
It is. And, it's the fortunate side that when you're involved, you're there, you can realize that not everybody's that fortunate. Not everybody has that resource to be able to do it. And to be able to give back. Yes, you're on your time, but you're also giving back and you're helping others. That is just extraordinary in so many ways. Now, does the dogs have to be spay or neutered to be part of this, or can they be intact?
No, we don't require, because we do have a mix of mixed breeds and dogs that do sports, show dogs. We cannot have dogs in heat for obvious reasons, but otherwise we don't require dogs to be spayed or neutered.
And see, that's a great thing, because the hard part about all of this is that you don't want to limit. And I'm going to ask the question because there's a purpose, but you're not breed specific where you're like, I'm sorry, but we don't allow Akitas, we don't allow pit bulls. If your dog's well trained, even if they're not well trained, maybe they're not as socialized, they will learn a great deal by going to camp. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes. We don't require dogs to be well trained. We have trainers at camp who certainly are there to help you if you want to learn, whether it's taking the Canine Good Citizen test or just learning to work on walking on a leash better or a certain behavior. We require that dogs be reasonably social. Obviously, with so many dogs, we want it to be safe for everybody. We invite any breed with a dog that is reasonably social. We get puppies that this is their first social experience, which is a great way to start your dog off, that early on being exposed to experiences and people. But we try to make it a welcoming place where a lot of different people and dogs can come together and just have a good time.
And, I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant, but it bugs me to no end when I hear this prejudice against different dog breeds. I have two of what would be considered to be very aggressive dogs. I have an Akita and I have a Pit Bull. And they are both from very bad situations, both abused physically, and yet are absolutely the sweetest dogs you'll ever find. So, it really is down to temperament of after you've saved the dog's life. I mean, yes, it took a long time, but it's really nice to know that you're not one of the, and it's a small number, I'm not going to lump a lot of people in it, but there is a number, and unfortunately, that's what people will, including myself, dwell on, who are against those breeds. And I'm thinking to myself, it really is the actual pet parent that you have to look at. It's not the breed. It's what always drives me insane.
That's unfortunate, and I did have people tell me when I started the camp, well, you can't have this breed or that breed, and I have a Malinois, she's one of those, quote, breeds, and she's a wonderful dog. She always loved dogs. I believe that there are lots of good dogs in the world. There's some dogs that simply are not dog social and wouldn't do well in an environment with a whole lot of dogs, but that's not breed-specific. That is based on the personality and the temperament of the dog. Sometimes how well they've been socialized when they're young. Sometimes it's just personality. But one of my best therapy dogs out working all the time is a wonderful little pit bull. Does hospital visits with kids. Just a terrific dog. Mm-hmm. I would hate to miss out on a dog like that, knowing a dog like that and having a chance to get to know them and have them be part of our community.
I look at it, and I always look at the dog and think, you deserve that chance. It's like before we started recording, I give people benefit of a doubt, and I know everybody goes through this where you give them benefit of the doubt, you believe in them, and then they let you down. That doesn't happen when you have a dog. It really doesn't even happen when you have a cat. I mean, you know what to expect with cats, but my cats give me so much more than a lot of people do, and yet we shun pit bulls. We do the same with Akitas. Not as much in this country as you would see in Europe, but still, I mean, it's still there. Rottweilers get this. Doberman Pinschers get this. And yes, I get it. There are some bad people out there that have forced this hand and made them this way. But it's usually because of abuse. It's not because, my dog just grew up this way. It's a multitude of issues. You've got over-vaccination, you have bad diet. I know Lori is probably shaking her head yes right now. She's listening. But, there's so many things that will cause all these issues. It's the temperament is based on what us, the pet parents, are doing to harm them, not the dog itself. And that just drives me insane. So that's me on a rant, or on my soapbox, as I always like to say. So
yeah, I hear you. You have to look at the individual dog.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of wonderful dogs. I have very rarely in my life met a dog who wasn't wonderful. And usually, if there's a problem, there's either a health issue or there's a background issue.
Mm-hmm.
I am involved with a German Shepherd rescue, wonderful group called Shepherds Beyond Borders. I do some home visits for them, and they get shepherds from all over the place. And shepherds traditionally are dogs that have guarding behaviors. They don't do well in kennel environments, yet many of these dogs that they label as no good and want to put to sleep end up being amazing, loyal, fabulous, and very social pets. Mm-hmm. So they just need to be given a chance.
It's funny with shepherds and Malinois. My wife calls me the shepherd's whisperer, because every time we get, and we do get quite a few of them, but we'll get shepherds that come in, and they're very timid, and I always kind of have conversations with them going, you're a big dog, you don't have to be with the mentality of a Chihuahua. But a lot of times, one of the biggest things that I see is it's a phobia of getting their nails trimmed, because they'll go to the wrong place, or their pet parent didn't play with their paw. So those are your two big things. The other groomer may have cut their nails down too short, and quit them each time, so they have that fear of pain. And I couldn't tell you how many times I have to rehabilitate them. And I don't use nail trimmers, I use a grinder. And you just work with them. And of all the dogs, of all the breeds, I would say the Shepherd is the most feared dog when it comes to this. They're so scared until they know. And then once they know you and they know it's not going to hurt, they don't care. They're like, hey, whatever. But it's a sad thing. And, you know, I know different groomers will work on Shepherds, Malinois, Pit Bilbies. They won't do any of these dogs because, no, they're violent dogs. No, it's read the person, read the actual pet parent. And that's one thing you see a lot of times is you see the pet parents, you're able to interact. You can pretty much gauge what the home life is like just by talking to the pet parent for a couple minutes.
We have a Doberman who comes to camp, lovely, lovely dog, and he has the best collection of pajamas I've ever seen. It's very hard to be scared of a Doberman in pajamas. But just the nicest dog, and you know, we have a number of dogs that I am so glad we have, that I'm so glad we know, and if we hadn't opened to them, we'd be missing out.
Right.
So, you know, I said, I have, my heart is with some of the rougher, tougher breeds, but, you know, and I have a Lab Malinois cross and a full-blooded Malinois. Both are rescues, and the Lab is much more labby in personality. The Malinois is kind of a happy-go-lucky dog, too, but I can tell the difference when we walk on the street. People want to pet the Lab, and they step back from the Malinois, and they're both lovely, friendly dogs. But it's sad because people don't know, and they judge very quickly, and that's unfortunate because there are, you know, good and bad dogs with any breed, just like there are good and bad teachers, lawyers, you know, priests and rabbis and everything else.
Veterinarians? Because I knew Lori was yelling veterinarians as we were talking.
Yes.
This is going to be kind of a select hidden meeting type episode, obviously. But you know, I think it's just tragic. I think a lot to do with the pet industry is misconception and a lot of fog that, unfortunately, even in 2018, is still very evident. Where you can see, look at feeding, look at temperament, look at behavior, look at exercise. I mean, there's a magnitude of different things that we can go down. We are so far behind, and we're not learning from it. And the ones who do know are trying to make a difference. But still, I mean...
So what I love about having, and the camp is one opportunity, but there are plenty of opportunities. We get a lot of pet people. With dog camps traditionally get sport people. We have a mix of both. But pet people want to learn, too. Everybody wants to learn about how to make their dog healthier, how to make their dog happier. I mean, they're part of our family. We are very bonded to them. And many times people come to their first camp and they don't know that much about nutrition. They ask a lot of questions. They don't know that much about vaccine protocol. They know what they've been told. So having a chance to explore and spend time chatting with veterinarians and learning what's out there. You know, years ago, my dogs ate Iams or whatever commercial food was popular at the time. I now have a dog that I am home feeding and doing home cooking for. Actually, Laurie is putting together a recipe for her. This is my duck diving champion, and she came home from nationals. She was actually not feeling great. She had inflammatory bowel disease, which hadn't been diagnosed at the time. She went out to Florida. She won a national championship and then came home, and we had to do all kinds of testing on her. And the bottom line is we need to do better with her diet. So she seems to have some food intolerances, and we'll be cooking different proteins. So, you know, we're putting together a list of ingredients, and I want her to have a better quality diet. That makes a big difference, and hopefully that will help her to heal the inflammation and get her back on the right track. But this was stuff I didn't even know existed 10 years ago. You learn by being around people and experiences and having that opportunity to learn, and I think it's great when opportunities like that arise. Lori is doing the Healthy Pet Expo in Albany in April, which is a great opportunity to learn about some of the options out there to get your pet happier and healthier. I think people don't always know that things like that exist.
I agree. I don't think that they do. And I think that people are so easily distracted. We made a joke a while back ago about the Kardashians and how people are more inclined to know what they're wearing today than what's going on in, whether it's social or it's political or it's weather. It doesn't matter. People are more caring about what they're wearing, what the Kardashians would be wearing, than things that they should know. Whether or not it's relevant to their life or not, still, it's something you should know. Stay informed. But no. And that goes with nutrition. I mean, that goes for vaccination. It goes for all of this. And that's where I can imagine just being able to be part of this camp. Everybody going in is going to walk out with so much knowledge, and it's priceless knowledge. That you're gonna be so informed, and you're gonna be able to bond with your dog so massively that it's just it has to be a rewarding situation for you, knowing that you've been able to put this on. But you're also educating in so many different areas that it's just commendable.
It's really nice too. One of the things that you see happen in the world, and it's political divides, but it's not just that. As you get older, you tend to know people in your field. Maybe you know a few neighbors. If you have kids, you know your kids' friends' families. If you work in accounting, you know people in the accounting firm. But we don't meet as many different people from different walks of life. And I think that's part of why the world has become so divided. And you go to camp, and everyone's in their T-shirt and their jeans with their dog. And you have no idea whether that's a doctor, a dog groomer, an accountant, a machine worker. I mean, we get people from all ages and all walks of life. And you really wouldn't know what anyone does for a living because it tends not to come up. We talk about the dogs.
Right.
But you get a chance to meet people from different states, different religions, different backgrounds, different races. And it's a wonderful opportunity to just meet blind as people who love dogs. And that to me is so valuable, to just meet people who are different and to find those commonalities through the love of dogs.
It's like going back to being in school again, just in elementary school where you didn't care about who was what and what was what. You just, hey, you look like somebody I want to talk to and be friends with. And that's what that sounds like.
It's 100%. My lab is jumping in the pool with your lab, so let's talk.
Right.
And, oh, wow, my poodle, we have two people who are friends at camp because the one woman had poodles and she had little terry cloth robes for them and she had an extra, and the other person had a Morkie who did not have a robe. They said, oh, why don't you take a robe for your dog? So, of course, they started chatting and they became great friends. They ended up having a whole lot in common. And that is how it works. You don't have to put labels on people because it's simply, I love dogs, you love dogs. Let's go to Yappy Hour and have a good time.
Right. And
it's nice.
We're lacking that in our current day. I think that's what we're lacking. We're always so focused, and I would say hyper-focused, on what the other person does. And that's the worst way. I mean, where we lost ourselves from being a kid to an adult, it's so hard to believe that we completely put labels on everything, and yet we're not really much smarter now than when we were kids. Most of us aren't at all, which is that's the scary part.
We've also become workaholics, and
yes.
I realized that, I always worked a lot of hours. I always have loved what I've done. But I remember when I had Jessie, and I had her a couple of weeks, I took some time off from work, I adopted a dog, got a house, and I went back to work, and I thought my life would continue the way it always had. And the first time I came home at 8:30 at night, I found that she'd ripped the arm off the couch and ate it. I said, okay then. She looked at me and she said, I'm a busy dog, I have things to do, you aren't here. I said, I guess I can't work till 8:30 anymore. I need to come home and walk my dog and get her out and play with her and exercise her. And it changed how I viewed things. Yes, of course, I still work a lot of hours, and, with the laptop, I can, bang out a few things late night. I love what I do. But I realized that you can't live your life just through work. Dogs make you see the world, maybe because their lives are so short, but you get to see the world through their eyes. And they're like, look, it's a sunny day. We should go for a walk. We should go for a run. Let's have the ice cream.
And then if you think about it, if you didn't have that dog in your life, you probably, if you didn't have anything to do, you would sit on the couch and just veg out on the couch. But when you have the dog, you're like, hey, I got to go out and walk the dog. That'll give me some, nice sun time. And then all of a sudden, I'm going to be exercising. I didn't even realize I'm exercising now. There it is. It's kind of funny.
And then you meet people. Maybe you meet them at a dog park, or you meet them on a walk, or you meet them at an agility class. Mm-hmm. But I would say a large percentage of my friends are dog friends that I've met through doing activities with my dog. So it brings me in contact with people I might not otherwise. I get a lot more exercise because I have one dog that whacks me in the head when it's walk time. She comes over and goes, whack! Hey, let's go out!
I love that. The
other one brings me boots and sweatshirts and leashes and just keeps bringing me things that she associates with a walk until I give in and walk her. So,
see, I became one of those lazy parents where I'm like, I'm not going to hook a collar on you and walk you. I have a nice backyard. We can go outside. You can off-leash. And what's weird about the Midwest is we don't have privacy fences. It's just kind of open scale. Some people do, but my dog can walk around the house. I have a bike path that's behind the house, and never will she run off. And that's any one of my 3 dogs. Whether it's the little Chihuahua, or it's the Pit, or it's the Akita, they will stay. And all I have to do is go house, and they come right in. Simple training. Simple things. I mean, I love it. And when it's cold outside, they hate, unless it's the Akita. She loves the cold, obviously. The rest of them are like, leave me alone, I'm coloring. The Akita, though, if it rains, I don't want to go out. I'll go to the bathroom, and I will run back as quick as I can. But they're hysterical. And, I look at my daughter, and I go, they're all around the same age, and they all have the same personality. That's what makes it so much fun. I guess I'm surrounded by kids.
Yep. I feel like mine are completely opposite personalities, but they complement each other well, so it works out just fine. My Malinois, who's supposed to be the scary, fierce dog, she sees me go for a walk at night, and she's like, oh, my God, it's a guy in a hoodie. I bet he wants to pet me! I keep thinking one day I should go to Google Malinois and be like, oh, my goodness, I'm doing it wrong.
I've been doing it wrong all these years. What am I doing? So here's a question I know a lot of people are wondering. And, I'm curious myself, but what kind of food is served not only for, the human side, but for the pets as well?
Well, we don't serve food for the pet because everyone is on different diets, and obviously if you change their diet, you can have issues. We do, however, have welcome treats for the dogs, like freeze-dried beef and some special treats. They get a goodie bag with some Honest Kitchen and some different samples of treats and food for them to try. As far as the meals, it is a dining room with full weight service, and you have 3 or 4 different choices for meals, including a vegetarian option, of course. So you might come in for breakfast and have eggs, French toast, maybe you'd have bacon, maybe you'd have some fruit or oatmeal. For lunch, you might have some kind of a pasta dish, a salad, a hamburger, fish. And then at dinner, it's a little more formal. It's still casual dress, but you might have a choice of, a shrimp scampi, a pork dish, some kind of a vegetarian dish. We do a lot of pasta choices. We have some, usually some kind of a chicken or, we change it up a little bit every day. But there are always several choices, and you always have a salad with that and dessert with that. And so there's plenty to eat. The dogs we have a section of the dining room where the dogs are able to be, and as long as they're well behaved and don't mug the waiters or anything.
I just realized I'm actually really hungry. I didn't realize that until you just mentioned all those great things. I'm thinking to myself, do I want breakfast? Do I want dinner? Pasta sounds great, but boy, breakfast, I don't know why breakfast sounded good all of a sudden. I know I'm not having breakfast for dinner, but it just sounded really good. Well,
there's always a daily yappy hour because who doesn't like to have a drink with their dog, right?
Very true. Very true.
It's funny because we'll have everyone gathers down by the picnic tables by the pool, and we have different kinds of drink and wine, and then, people bring dog treats. We have people who bring special treats from Canada for them and special treats for the dogs, and the dogs have treats, the people have treats, everybody has a drink. Nice and relaxing.
You know, I don't drink much, but boy, that sounds really relaxing. That's the sad part. I'm like, ooh. You know what? You mentioned 3 things I like to do right now. Pool, nice sun where it's warm weather, and be outside socializing with a drink. That's just, you know what? And none of those are possible this time of year. I think that's probably why. I'm sure you have as much ice as we do, so yippee!
Sad I'm not. Today was unexpectedly beautiful. It was 55 degrees, and my dogs demanded 2 walks for that. But it's we just melted the snow. Of course, now my backyard is a mud pit. Mm-hmm. But there's still a lot of winter, unfortunately, and I'm not a huge fan of winter.
You know, I didn't like summer because it was so hot, and it was extraordinarily hot this past summer, but you know what? This winter has been terribly cold, and I'm really not enjoying that either. I do enjoy my beanie, my sweater, or sweatshirt, but, I feel comfortable in that, but, I'm ready to go back to a t-shirt. I miss my t-shirts. That's definitely for sure.
I like fall. I mean, I'm a summer girl because I swam competitively, and my dog Doc Dives. We're just like a water kind of family, but fall is kind of nice for long walks and watching the leaves change. We do a fall camp that's cooler, and sometimes the big hairy dogs prefer to go to fall camp because it's not quite so hot, and we do keep the pool open for them, although it's a little bit chilly, but, it cools down, and you get to take hikes into the trails and watch the leaves change, and just a kind of a different vibe. But I like being close to nature, and it's something that I tend to forget about because I work a lot and you get busy and you forget. And the dogs kind of help bring me back to that, how wonderful it is to go for a romp or a walk or, just be out in the field and enjoy yourself.
And it would be very relaxing. But, my problem with fall, the only part is it's just right there, so close to winter. And it's kind of, just saying, hi, I'm coming for you. Every time that's what goes in my mind. I might have some issues, but then again, I do talk to dogs all day, so,
No, I always said if fall went directly into spring, it would be the perfect season.
Right?
I always kind of get the post-winter blues as soon as the pool closes and we hit September and I go, oh, But I always say one of these days, is that this year I got down to Florida a couple of times with the dogs and in the winter, and it was really nice.
As they're saying, I want to be part of this. I love that. I love the fact that they're actually, in the background. That always has been something I've always enjoyed. It's whenever a dog will start barking in the background, or even cats will come up to the phone and meow. I do enjoy that. Don't get that as often though, unfortunately. I'm on all different places. So, tell us about the rooms, because of course people are always wondering, well, where am I going to sleep? What's that like? So that's always a question that should always be asked.
Okay. They're motel-style rooms. I knew there were a couple of dog camp-type places out there, but they were very rustic with no electricity and no air conditioning, and I'm too old for that. But once you hit 50, you really need air conditioning. So they're very basic motel-style rooms. They have cable TV. They have air conditioning, private baths. They're good-sized rooms. So, if you have a couple that has 3 golden retrievers, they're going to fit just fine. Everything is within a few minutes walk of everything else except lure coursing, which is off-site because dogs go crazy when they see lure coursing, so it needs a little bit of a barrier, so that's a quarter mile down the road. But everything else is within a, 3 to 5 minute walk of where you stay, so no one is ever that far away. And we have individuals, motel buildings. There are 5 or 6 different buildings that the people stay with their dogs. The dogs obviously can sleep with you if you want. If they sleep on the bed, we ask people to bring a sheet to put over the bedding because many of the dogs do sleep in the beds with their owners. And, you're right there where the action is.
I'll tell you, I always argue with the fact of having our dog in our bed because our dog gives my wife all the room and kicks me during the night. And takes my spots. I'm going, I'm against the wall. Leave me alone. Let me have some room. She thinks it's the funniest thing ever. I don't think it's that funny.
I'm curled up in a ball, right?
Right? Like, I'm in a fetal position. And I'm not a small guy. I'm a pretty tall guy. So it's getting to that small little compacted area, you wake up a little sore. So, just in a kind of a little bit of a rundown of different staff that are part of this camp. Just kind of run us down what we have to look forward to.
Okay, we have a training staff that will teach anything from basic obedience to specific issues that you might want to work with your dog to canine good citizen, advanced canine good citizen, and therapy dog work. So all of that is there with our training staff. They also do pool lifeguard. Our pool lifeguards teach swimming lessons. Because the dogs are all off leash in the pool, we always keep 2 trainers in there. That way, if there ever was an issue, we'd have trainers on hand. But the dogs seem to do pretty well. And we have terrific swimming lessons. If your dog has never swum, we have this girl, Cindy, who can get pretty much any dog in the pool and swimming. She's amazing. We have 2 veterinarians, and they give talks. They have little private meet the vet sessions where you can just sit and spend a few minutes chatting with a vet if you have specific questions or just, want to learn a little more about a topic. We have a PhD in behavior who is also a trainer, and she gives kind of the behaviorist point of view. She's also a terrific tricks teacher, so she does some tricks training as well. Our lore crossing instructor breeds deerhounds. She has, anywhere between 14 and 15 deerhounds and a handful of whippets. And she actually also will do some work on loose leash training, and she's done a talk on the multi-dog household, which is fun because she's used to having a whole lot of dogs, and also gives some background on showing dogs, people who are interested in that. We have a terrific team with agility, and we do everything from handling classes to agility, beginner to advanced, to high competition levels. But we also have classes for people who are just trying it out and learning obstacles. We do rally obedience. We do barn hunt, which is a great sport where dogs have to find a rat that's in a little container, and the rat gets, breaks during the day. The rat is always safe. They hide it in bales of hay, and the dogs have to learn to find it. And we also do some nose work where they start with the dogs finding, hot dogs or something easy. And, of course, what dog doesn't want to go find a hot dog in a box and eat it? And then eventually they move on to scents where they learn different levels. And this would be an AKC sport, but it also would be how search and rescue dogs may start out training, learning to find scents and different things. We have a wonderful dog yoga class in the morning, which is a great way to kind of stretch and get going with you and your dog do together. And a canine freestyle dancing class, and you sometimes see that on some of the TV shows. You'll see, these people dancing with dogs, and that's what our instructor does. We do dog skateboarding because why not, right?
Why not?
Flyball, which is a really fun sport, which I've discovered this year. I've been doing with my dogs. We have a pair of sisters who teach flyball, frisbee, and agility. And flyball is a series of 4 jumps, and it's a relay race of 4 dogs. So the first dog would run, jump over those 4 jumps, hit a box where a ball pops out, grab the ball, and come back over the 4 jumps. And then as soon as it comes back, the next one goes. And then it's a relay race of teams. So we start teaching that at class, and we have some who are more advanced and some who are just learning, but it's kind of a fun team sport. We do have canine CPR classes where we have on our staff, she's a paramedic. She's actually the director of a paramedic program at a college, and she was one of the paramedics who was in 9/11, and she not only teaches barn hunt, but she does a canine CPR class where people can be certified in canine CPR, the 3-hour progressive class. But it's a really great thing to know if your dog ever gets hurt, or if you ever come across a dog who's hurt. That's a really valuable thing, valuable skill set to have. And
that's
casual things like barks and crafts and some games, and we did some water games. We've done water Olympics. Just different things that are relaxing. And of course, we have seminars throughout that you can go to if you just want to sit for a little while and learn something new. And of course, our evening entertainment is so much fun. We've done a casino night for charity. We do moving into the stars, which is great. We have set up. Only time you'll be out, you're sitting watching a movie. We always joke things you hear at camp. And I was just getting to the best part, and then a golden retriever sat up, and I missed something. Because you have the dogs on the lounge chairs, the people on the lounge chairs, and watching a movie. We have a karaoke night where we have people singing, and dogs get up and howl, and there's a conga line with dogs. I mean, just so much fun. There's a bar lounge area, so you can always get a drink at night and just hang out and relax. So we try to make sure there's something to do day and night.
That is more activities than a lot of different things. I mean, that's more than on a cruise ship. most of the time, during the daytime, it's do nothing. So that's you're never in a shortage for something to do or somewhere to participate and to learn so much in just such an environment. Just being able to, and again, being able to have one-on-one time with Dr. Kocher, that's beneficial in itself, but you have so many people that are able to share their wisdom and just inform and educate. That is just amazing. And, Dr. Kocher said, and if you don't want to do anything, you can just sit outside and enjoy the sun. So, that's always good.
Throw a blanket by the duck pond with their dog, and they just hang out. Sometimes we get dogs that are older, and they don't want to do all the activities, that maybe they don't want to go lure crossing or doing agility, but maybe they just want to sit together and hang out and read a book or hang out by the pool and just be together. And there's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah.
Being together.
Well, I mean, you mentioned it with being busy with work. I mean, that one-on-one time and just being able to lay around with each other is huge, because a lot of times they're at home how many hours a day by themselves? And it's like, you're home. Hey, cool. It's great for that. So what are the typical amounts of days that camp is on? Is it a 2-day, 4-day, 8-day?
We do. Our June camp is a 5-day, 4-night camp. That's our longer camp. And we do a Sunday to Thursday. And some people will come out Saturday night just to get settled in, but we set the camp from Sunday to Thursday. And then we do a 4-day, 3-night one in September, and that is the 15th through the 18th. It's a little bit shorter. It's a little bit more affordable if somebody can't get the time off from work, and we do that as Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
That makes sense. That, because it gives the variety. I mean, if you're going to go on vacation, you pretty much plan it that way anyway. So how can someone actually book their trip to the camp?
They can, if people are interested, they can go to our website, which is Canine Camp Getaway, all spelled out, CANINE, campgetaway.com, and they can see more about, we have lots of information about camp, and they are always welcome to call us at 877-592-2674, or email me personally at janice@caninecampgetaway.com, and they can also email us through the website, and we will get them an application and more information.
Cool. It's just sounds so relaxing and something that I just want to go to right now. I'm just thinking to myself, boy, good food, good place, good times, and just being able to have that would just be so amazing. Is there anything I missed that we haven't covered that definitely needs to be addressed?
I don't think so. I think, it's a magical vacation if you love being with dogs and dog people. If you don't, it's probably just chaos. But if you love dogs, there's nothing quite like it. And I think it is an extraordinary gift to give your dog, because dogs don't live nearly long enough. And to have that time with you, that real focus time where you're just together, it's a very relaxed setting. And one of the things that's nice is you don't have to go with somebody. Maybe you're not married or you're not dating someone, or your best friend can't take the time off from work. You can just go with your dog, because everybody is friendly and everybody meets people. We get a lot of people who just come on their own and they meet people there. Your dog makes friends. You make friends with, the people who your dog wants to hang out with their dog, and it's a very relaxed, easygoing atmosphere.
Yeah, it's what's funny about the whole thing is, again, it's kind of going back to being a kid. But, for a lot of people, their dogs are their children. And this is their opportunity to go on a trip with their child and just have that time, because it is very chaotic. I think it's more chaotic now than ever before with all the technology. We're never away from technology. It's either in our pocket, it's in our laptops, it's in our smartphones, it's in our tablets, it's in our cars. So technology is just always in our fingertips. So to get away from that for a little bit of time, that would be cleansing. Just now, I probably would lose my mind because I have an addiction, and I realize that. But I imagine it would be just absolutely relaxing not to have to be attached to something for some time and just get back to what's really important.
It really is. When I was a little girl, my aunt had a summer house up by Lake George. So when I decided I wanted to do this, I was looking for a place with property. And I remembered how much fun it was to go up there and how much space there was and how the air just smelled better and the grass seemed greener. It was just one of those magical places I remember thinking when I was a child. When I came back, it was every bit as magical. You know, the town was wonderful, and the town is dog-friendly. We have people who go into the town with their dogs, and they, you know, swim in the lake. You know, we're right by the lake. They can go swimming in the lake, or they can, you know, pop into the shops that are dog-friendly. But there's just something wonderful about being in the mountains where the air is clear and everything is kind of beautiful. You're right in the midst of nature. There are gorgeous views of the mountains. You know, you're a mile or two from the lake that you can kind of go, and they even have, like, cruises during the day. Some people come stay an extra day, and they take their dog on a boat cruise. But it's just a beautiful town to be in, and I think there's something about connecting to nature and being with your dog that there's kind of a simplicity that just feels good, and we don't get enough of that in our lives.
We really don't. And, you know, I've lived in big metropolis cities, and, you know, going out to the country and being able to just get back to nature, how rewarding is that? I mean, no smog, no, you know, traffic, none of the things that we have to fight on a daily basis. Oh yeah, that alone is worth it. Well, I really appreciate you being on the podcast, and you know, definitely stay in touch. And I've enjoyed this. I'm actually more relaxed just listening to you talk about this, especially during the cold, you know, season.
Oh, I really enjoyed talking to you. I really appreciate you having me on.
It's been a pleasure. Well, I'm Chris Green. Have a pet-tastic week. Bye-bye, everybody.
Okay, gotta go in my bedtime.